Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for a cash tag segment. For that, let's bring in Landon Swan. He's a co-founder of Likefolio. Landon, thanks for being here. Happy Friday. We've got Meta Platforms at or near all-time highs. Or maybe a little bit overbought, maybe on a technical level, but it's had a good run over the last year and a half since bottoming out in 2022. Do you have the data that supports the stock at these levels? That's the question.
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, we're basically 1% under the all-time highs set, I think, in late 21. So this stock has been on a run. I mean, it went from like 380 down to 90. Now it's back up to 380. This has been a wild ride. If someone's holding that entire time, they're counting their blessings that they're back to where they were. But, it's interesting because there's a lot of different elements to this company. It's not just Facebook anymore. And, I don't know if the name change, Meta, I don't know if Meta is really the future of the company, but with Instagram, it's clearly not just Facebook anymore. And when we look at the company comprehensively, the mentions overall are actually down 3% year over year, but that doesn't tell the entire story because really it's mostly Facebook dragging on the company and Reels and Instagram doing really well. So that's kind of you got to kind of take each one as a completely different entity to see how they're doing. And you can see here the blue line is the number of people talking about Meta and all of its different platforms, just using it. And of course you can see the stock chart there and the other line that's at all-time highs. When we look at the change in mentions across the different platforms, we actually threw in Snapchat in there as well to kind of give you a comparison. But you can see that Reels is doing extremely well. And the change in mentions is Snapchat's doing really well. Reels is doing very well. Instagram good, and then Facebook is dragging, right? That's the one that's sort of dragging on everything. But it's the bulk right now, but it's everything shifting over. And a lot of the advertising money that's coming in is going into Instagram. And what we're seeing is that the video content is really the key. And that's what you can see in the top two ones here on this chart. Snapchat and Reels are dominating through video. And I think it's important that Meta is able to capture that part of the market. Very important. And of course, we want to see what happens with the headsets that are coming out. They've got Apple competing with them. They've got Oculus that they're trying to go against. So everybody's kind of wanting to see what happens with these Quest headsets. But so far, I think the story is that the company is sort of slowly shifting away from Facebook being extremely relevant as it was, like this social platform. And it's moving into these other avenues, Reels and Instagram primarily right now.
I think we can just kind of throw Oculus out and just look at the other components of the valuations here, Landon, for a second. I mean, look, you're looking at a stock, or excuse me, at a company in Meta that has average revenue growth of over 18.5% over the last 5 years. It's trading at about a 23 times forward PE. So, however you look at that, that's relatively inexpensive. How have they been able to really monetize Reels and Instagram? You kind of talked about that ad revenue, but is that something that you see as continuing going forward that can continue to drive these valuations?
Yeah, I think for us, I mean, the way that we see this company is the key to this company is how they're able to monetize the video content primarily on Reels and Instagram, because that's where everyone's moving. I mean, if they hadn't have done that acquisition years ago, I mean, this would be a dying company. Maybe Reels would resurrect them, but Reels would, do well there. But yeah, it's absolutely critical to get those dollars coming in, and they're showing relevance here because, if you think about the business life cycle for companies, you start off, you do well, you peak out, and you slowly drift away. And I think that's kind of what's happening with Facebook, but they've got the other ones on the upswing and at the peak right now. So it's really interesting to see so many different media entities rolled into one, and they're all so similar, yet they're all in different stages of that sort of life cycle, if you will. So I love that they've got the past, present, and future working really well. I don't know what comes after the next one, but I have a feeling that Meta will be on top of it.
Hey, I think Kevin would probably disagree with some of this data. I'm sure he's an avid Facebook user just due to his age demographic at this point, but I'll maybe mention that to him next week when he gets back from holiday. Landon, real quick here, you know, the Reels, just the monetization of that product, it's taken them a lot longer than they had expected. Is that the reason that you're seeing the resurgence in the stock, and is that the growth driver for them moving forward, and you know, going into earnings on the 1st of February? Are you guys still bullish even with, you know, the stock at these levels?
Sure. So I think Reels is right now. Reels is the future. If you asked me 18 months ago, 24 months ago, I said Instagram's the future. So they, like I said, they are just constantly iterating into the next thing, and they're figuring out what works. So I do have a lot of confidence in this company, a lot more than I did 5 years ago. So, you know, I love that they're able to continue to iterate, like I said. And yes, I do think Reels right now is the future. Instagram is obviously very strong. But hopefully that can hold. As far as our outlook, you know, we're still a few weeks away, or a couple weeks away. I think February 1st is the earnings date. But, you know, right now they're at about a +5, and they would be a lot higher. And that's on from -100 to +100. They'd be a lot higher if their stock wasn't right at all-time highs. I think that's the key right now. You know, give me a pullback over the next couple of weeks, and I can turn out a better score for you. But right now, yeah, that's all we've got, because it just seems to be pretty much priced right, and yet it still seems expensive.
All right, great stuff. Great data as always, Landon. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
That's Landon Swan, co-founder at Likefolio, breaking down the data. Yeah, you know what, Joe, Joe,